Welcome to the Happy Disruptors podcast. If you're a creative thinker with an unconventional approach to your industry, you just might be a happy disruptor. Join your friends at the Great Outdoors Foundation for honest conversations about tackling critical issues like conservation with an uncritical disposition. If you like to smile and get things done, this is the podcast for you.
Hello, and welcome to the Happy Disruptors podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are so excited to be joined by a dynamic father-son duo today, Eric and Matt. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourselves?
Go ahead.
Well, my name is Eric Wall. This is my son, Matt. I have a farm at Monticello, Iowa, in the eastern part of the state. I'm now retired. I've done that for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. So here we are.
Yeah. And I'm Matt Wall. I grew up on a farm in eastern Iowa. I live in Des Moines now with my wife and daughter. I'm no longer in farming. I'm in banking industry.
So we bought a house 2 doors down from there.
Oh, that's fun.
So we can spend time down here, and we spend time back there too.
Yeah.
So we go both places.
That's amazing. That's like the dream.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your farm. What do you guys specialize in? How long has it been in your family?
Specialize in what everybody else specializes in Iowa, corn and soybeans. Mm-hmm. That's what we raised primarily. I did raise hogs until 1998 when that no longer became something I really wanted to get into very much. The farm has been, part of the farm has been in the family since 1920. Oh, wow. My grandparents started farming there. Then they had some pretty tough times when they began. My grandmother hatched chickens for extra cash, mm-hmm. All that kind of stuff. So my parents grew up through the Depression and lived through it and lived there and farmed there. And then I started in the early 70s, and here we are today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Matt, what was it like growing up on the farm?
Well, a little pressure since next year. I didn't have a choice. No, it was good. It was
say the right thing.
Yeah.
You can tell us the real story later.
Really offline.
No, it was fun. It provided a lot of different opportunities that I don't feel like. So my daughter's 9, going to be 9 here in June, and there's not as many kids that get to grow up on a farm today as there was even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different experiences that I was able to share with my friends on the farm.
Yeah.
Try not to get in too much trouble, but we had a good time.
Yeah, it really, so the thing about farming is that it's not just your job. It's not where you clock in and clock out. It's a whole lifestyle. So what did farming mean for you all as a family?
Well, it is a job. I mean, it doesn't have particular times or hours, but you kind of have to make a living doing that. So
absolutely,
that part of it is difficult to do sometimes. Yes, there are advantages, being out there, the opportunities to be outside, take advantage of outdoor activities all over that aren't readily available to kids growing up in town. Mm-hmm. So that was a big advantage, and I enjoyed it. Matt enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say? It absolutely, by no means meant to imply that it was not for needing to make a profit. It's so much more beyond that, right? It's a community aspect. It's something that's been a part of your family. What was it like? Were you the only member of it? You mentioned you have siblings. Were you the only one who was sticking on the farm, or what was that like for you?
Yes, out of the 6 of us, my siblings, I was the only one that wanted to stick around and do that. So, yes, it is more than just a job. The job is a major aspect of it, but there is community, there is kind of an ethic that you want to take care of what you're trying to make a living from. So you have to keep it intact and hopefully improve it some too.
So speaking of that, I mean, you've been implementing conservation practices on your land for a while. Can you talk a little bit about what types of practices you've been doing and what your motivation was to do that?
The motivation, first of all, would be to maintain and improve the resource that we have. It's a valuable resource, and once it's gone, it is gone, and it's really, really difficult to get it back. So that was primarily the main motivation. Practices that we've done kind of range across the board. My granddad started with a waterway, a grass waterway to keep water from just washing across his field. I have no idea how he did it. My dad told me about it, but it's still there. My dad started doing contour farming, which was not a very common practice, excuse me, when he started. So I maintain that. We've put in waterways and terraces and a big erosion control structure that is actually a pond that we fish in.
A grade stabilization, yes.
That's it.
Yes, we're familiar. The fancy
Grade
word for
stage
pond.
structure.
Fancy word for pond.
I mean, it does catch a lot of erosion.
Yeah.
I mean, and stops it mostly at the upper end of our pond where we have to dig it out. But it actually does do grade stabilization. They do work.
Yeah,
So-
very effective.
And the terraces help, and then no-till and our renters now are doing the cover crops and continuing all the other stuff too.
For those who maybe aren't familiar with contour farming, can you just explain what that is?
That's instead of farming just straight rows, north, south, east, west, whatever your fence lines are, it's farming on the level around the hills. So when you have rows, wheel tracks, anything, it creates a channel for water to gather. And if they go straight down the hill, you get a lot of water running straight down the hill. And running water takes soil with it. So if you plant it level, you get less runoff, a little more water infiltration.
That's good.
Yeah. It's super interesting for us. We have projects all over the state that we are supporting through our Conservation Acceleration Fund, and it really is so tailored to the geography and topography of that particular area. It's so critical to take that into consideration.
It really is, and that's probably why there's a bigger emphasis on watersheds recently than there was when I started farming.
Yeah.
So when you talk about conservation and conservation farming, I mean, yes, there's resources available, but because of that specificity of each farm, it's a lot of trial and error. So do you think that's something that was just passed down from generation to generation? Do you think it's something that you learned from what made you start trying things a little bit differently, maybe earlier than some of your neighbors?
Superior intellect, I would say.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but to me, it just made sense.
Yeah.
Because the resource that we have is finite.
Right.
And whatever I can do to maintain and help that, to keep that, that's what I was going to do. And as I moved into some no-till stuff, I find that your soil organic matter increases by not tilling. Water infiltration increases, so you get less runoff. And your ground is covered, so it's protected from splash erosion too.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
So you had great example in your grandfather who was already looking at how to best steward the land. But then as you were introducing conservation practices, what resources were available to you and what barriers did you have to overcome?
Typically, the resource was the NRCS. When I started, it was the Soil Conservation Service, just to give you an idea how far back that was. That was the main resource. I had super service and help from the NRCS and the programs through the FSA. And that's where my main help came from. And so the barriers really is cost. You know, the whole economic system that we have to operate in doesn't really provide an incentive to do those conservation things. It's a long-term kind of benefit, but you have to live through the short term to realize those. So that really was the biggest barrier, is the economic part of it. But some of the resources, they had cost share, and I did 75% cost share on building terraces and stuff. They had a dollar limit every year, so every year I did up to that dollar limit. But I could, get a pretty good deal on doing that with the cost share.
Yeah.
And same with the grade stabilization structure, that had pretty good cost share too. So the incentives were there through that program. Had never heard of your organization at that time, and there weren't any other private resources really. It's all government.
So when you had these structures going in and this work being done on the farm, what were your neighbors saying? Were they really on board? Were they kind of the same mindset? Or were they like, oh, wow, the walls are kind of wacky?
One neighbor. They
still say that.
Maybe for other reasons.
One neighbor put in some terraces too.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple neighbors put in some, but I really don't know what the other neighbors thought. I really didn't care too much.
Yeah.
So I was like, they can do what they want. We'll catch their dirt. If they don't want it, I guess we'll take it. So.
Yeah.
So Matt, growing up sort of in this conservation-minded farming, did you realize it was different? How did that impact you and where you're at today?
Not really. So I would think I was in 4th grade when we put the pond in. About that time.
Yeah.
So, we had some of the CRP land that I remember as a young child, our family, my uncles and cousins would go pheasant hunting on there. So I was able to grow up going pheasant hunting, fishing at the pond. Probably in 8th grade is when we started catching fish there. So I spent all the summers enjoying the benefits that weren't necessarily the main benefits of the conservation, but the hunting, the fishing, the camping, and that's what I grew up doing. So no, I didn't know that. But we did a service trip I went to Wartburg College. We did a service trip to help kind of rebuild after Katrina down in New Orleans. And we were doing some yard work for a family, and we were digging up the dirt there. I was like, this is really black dirt down there. I was like, oh, that's why we put the conservation practices upstream, so we don't lose the dirt downstream. So that's where it kind of clicked a little bit there.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That is super fascinating. I hadn't even thought of that. You could see the real world effect.
Yeah, it's like, this
this probably
this
didn't
doesn't
start
belong
here.
here.
Yeah, I know where you're from.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You're
hilarious.
like, that's like good Iowa dirt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, now that you both spend time here in central Iowa, obviously water quality has been of major concern for quite some time, but it's kind of permeated now the general zeitgeist. Everyone is talking about it, whether you are in conservation or not. How does that make you feel? Like, is that kind of a conversation starter for you as you're sharing about conservation practices on the farm? Do you feel like how has that contributed to the way you talk about the farm?
You know, water quality, you're right, is a huge deal. It affects us here probably more in central Iowa than it does at the farm. We couldn't water our lawn last summer because of the high nitrates. It is a real issue, and the crux of the problem lies in the fact that the system that we're in really demands that we grow corn and soybeans. That's the way the whole infrastructure is set up. We can grow lots of other things, but without a market for them, we can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So we're kind of locked into corn and soybeans, and it takes nitrogen to grow corn. I mean, that's a basic fact. And if you don't have enough nitrogen, you lose out. You are at a disadvantage. Nitrogen is expensive. Nobody dumps it on.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody puts on what they need. You can't afford to have not enough. So some years, I've done some nitrogen tests, to see what kind of yields you get from different rates of nitrogen. So corn following soybeans, 0 is not enough. I've learned that, and that's about the bottom line. Some years, 100 units of nitrogen is good. Some years, 150 units of nitrogen is what you need. 200, maybe sometimes. So it's a crapshoot every year. I mean, everybody wishes we could, put on 50 pounds of nitrogen per acre and get super yields, but that's just not the fact. So nobody likes to waste their dollars on resources they don't need. But here we are. How do we deal with that? And in my opinion, it's a societal issue. I mean, it affects everybody.
For sure.
And how willing are we to pay, instead of 10% of our income for food, how willing are we to pay 18 or 25%?
Right.
So it's a big issue. I don't have the answer on it, but I do know that.
Are you kidding me? That's why we brought you on.
Sorry to let you
You were
down.
going to solve the problems today.
I told you that. You asked about expertise. And I was like, man. So it's like, I wish I did have a good answer, but there isn't one.
I'd also add too, so my wife grew up in the East Coast. So when we moved back here, where she would last year, we can't water because of the too high of nitrates. She's like, what is happening? So there's an education aspect too for people that didn't grow up on a farm, didn't grow up here, where she's learning about it's starting to pay attention. I don't know. There's a lot that we're able to do right now where we're at, other than help teach.
Right.
So that too.
I do think you both have brought up a lot of the things that we've been wrestling with too, right? You don't have a system that supports diversification.
Right.
Cost share at best, and those funds are limited to doing those edge of field practices and cover crops that help with some of those issues. And so I think you're naming it of a societal issue that we need to deal with this together, right? We need to recognize that Iowa is a farming agricultural economy, and it's crucial to the success of the state, while understanding that we have some real structural barriers is a really good observation that it's some of the things that we need to do. It needs to be approached as a holistic and not sort of this us versus them, rural versus urban.
I think, what you guys are doing is a really, really important, good thing. right now, given the state of the government that we have right now, help from the government is going to be really limited. And you folks are doing that job. And it's important that you continue to do it. And I hope that you can have resources to really make a difference on that too.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think one of the things that we noticed as an organization when we started getting more and more, we call it the 100 coffees, right? We had 100, probably thousands of coffees with different ag organizations, different farmers. And I think we realized how much this is going to take a multi-prong approach. And it's not just a panacea. Even if we got government funding tomorrow, and we got $1 billion to, reach the nutrient reduction strategy goals, we don't have the system in place from a permitting, any of those things, education system for farmers, to be able to achieve that goal.
Right.
And so we have to build those things too.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a great point, Eric, of we as consumers also will probably need to modify our behavior and our spending expectations, because to support those local diverse food systems, you're not going to be able to get the same sort of cost-effective big food products that utilize corn and soy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this country, food is relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of places in the world, and we have a huge abundance of food. And it's how much of that are we willing to give up to have water that we can drink all year, or an environment that doesn't cause us to have the highest cancer rates in the country.
Yeah. But that also causes us to have to build that middle infrastructure, right? Create those
Yes.
markets and that
Yes.
distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Farmers drink water too.
Yeah.
And farmers raise their kids and families out in the country, and they don't want
Right.
the same things everybody else doesn't want.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a big issue.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's what we're starting to see, is that everyone's coming to the table saying we all want the same things.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. 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 Big issue. Okay. So one of the things, as you talk about this, that I'm always so impressed, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, but your family, you guys would be considered early adopters. What perspective for conservation, what perspective or insight would you be willing to share with those that are maybe more middle or late adopters of why this is important, or how to get this done in a way that makes financial sense, and how do you even get started in conservation farming?
I think, first of all, you have to really look at the resources that we have that we exploit. All of the resources that cause the plant to grow, we need to maintain. I mean, looking at it just from a financial standpoint, farm ground, good farm ground particularly, is really expensive. And, if you have a foot of topsoil and you lose an inch of that, that's almost 10% of the value of your farm ground that has just disappeared.
Yeah.
It's left. So I think from that standpoint, you can start looking at that kind of an ethic to maintain what we have and be as productive as possible with the least amount of inputs. And, cover crops, if done right, really can cut down on weed pressure. So your herbicide costs can be less. There's lots of things that have small benefits, but they do add up after a while.
So And this is so interesting because you cash rent now, right?
That's right.
Okay. So we always get in these conversations of landowners versus cash renters and, cover crops and things like that, and yield versus net profitability. How has it been different in how you look at what you do on your farm, from being the producer to becoming the landowner, making that transition?
Actually, for me, I guess I'm fortunate. It hasn't been that difficult. Find the appropriate renters. Find the people that kind of align with the way you think, and you'll be able to work things out that way. So for me personally, it hasn't been that big of a deal.
Yeah, because you have the alignment.
Yes. Yeah. Our renters, they take care of all the conservation stuff that we've put in, and they started with the cover crops. I didn't do cover crops. They started it. So, I'm real pleased with that.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the things that I would have done, hate to say how many decades ago that's been, they probably wouldn't do now. I had a 6-row planter, it's 15 feet wide, and now, they got a 60-foot wide planter, and the gates aren't big enough, things like that. The basic operation is the same. The things that are important are still the same. It's just that some of the technology and practices have evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finding that value alignment seems like it would make for a great partnership.
That's an important part of it. Yeah.
So Matt and Eric, what misconception about farming and conservation, if you could correct it, what would that be?
You can go first. I don't know if I got. Misconceptions about conservation
Or farming.
or farming.
Yeah, farming.
Well, I think I mentioned the one that farmers have the same needs and wants as everybody else. Farmers, agriculture in general, all aspects of agriculture are dependent on markets.
Yeah.
And the things that people want to buy and are willing to spend their money on. Food, fiber, fuel, all of it comes from agriculture. And we all need to kind of have a recognition of where things come from and what the costs are.
Yeah.
I'll take a little bit different angle on that too. I would say that there's, talked a lot about the economic benefit of the conservation. There's secondary benefits as well from a quality of life standpoint. I was not involved with the decisions on putting the pond in or doing the conservation stuff, but I got to reap the benefits of the wildlife, the fishing, the times with my friends growing up too. And now bringing my daughter back, we're able to do the same thing, take her fishing at the pond. She found some antler sheds last year that she's pretty excited about. So there's the economic benefit, but there's also the quality of life benefit that as a kid growing up, I thought was more important than the economic benefit, right? But
Exactly.
there's a value to that as well.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, there is big value to that, and I enjoy it too.
Yeah.
I enjoy it too.
Well, anything else you want to add before we jump into our final segment of the show?
No.
Excellent.
No.
You've been very thorough. That's not a trick question.
Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Well, Eric and Matt, as we discussed, we have whiteboards for you on the table just next to you, and there's a marker tucked into the back. We like to close out every episode with a segment we call Let's Whiteboard It. It's a random question. Hannah doesn't know. And I figured since we are entering into the warmer weather, some of the best months of the year in Iowa, I want to know what your favorite thing about summer in Iowa or in the Midwest. Hannah is a Kansas girl. What your favorite thing about
I've been
summer
here
in
for
the
20
Midwest?
years now,
That's
so
true.
I'm basically an Iowa
You
girl.
are. You are.
Transplant.
Favorite thing about summer?
Favorite thing about summer? Yes. And you can write or draw.
I'm a terrible artist, so I try to draw just to make Katie.
And
Wow.
while Hannah and Matt and Eric are responding to our question, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you are listening. Follow along with what we are doing on all major social media platforms. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the Great Outdoors Foundation's monthly newsletter. We share updates from partners and projects and other sort of noteworthy conservation news. So it's a great way to stay up to date with what we're up to. Did I give you guys enough time?
Sure.
All right. Matt, you look like you're ready
I'm
to
done.
go. All right.
Yeah.
You go for it.
So my answer, hard to read, sweet corn and fishing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I love that.
Oh, you get
Hannah, are you ready to go?
I can go. So
Okay.
we kind of have the same answer. So I like to bike.
Yes.
And then when I get home from biking, we like to sit around the fire. And then I love sweet corn too.
Love
you're
it.
a good artist.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so sweet. Bless your heart.
All right. Last but not least.
Well, maybe the least. But my first thought is what I enjoy most about summer is that fall is coming.
Fair. I'm a fall girl too. I love the fall.
Yeah, I like the fall. And then I thought about it a little bit more. And the summer gives me time because generally in the summer, you know, you're not busy planting or harvesting, and most of the crop care is done. At least it was when I was farming. So it's time to enjoy what has happened in the last few months.
Yeah.
You know, the crops are growing, everything is growing. You know, it's all green, and it's a pleasant time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you both so much for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This
It's
has
been
been fun.
fun. It has been.
You
fun.
did great. And thanks for listening.